Listen up, because what I just uncovered in FEMA's updated emergency guidelines might shock you. For the first time since 2020, FEMA has revised its official food recommendations, and trust me, the changes reveal something bigger than most people realize. They're not just planning for storms anymore. The government is preparing for extended blackouts, supply chain disruptions, and long-term food shortages. I spent the past week digging through FEMA reports, CDC guidelines, and even federal procurement documents. And the pattern is crystal clear. They know something we don't. But here's the good news. You don't need a government badge to protect your family. Because today, I'm going to break down the 9 exact foods FEMA and other agencies are stockpiling right now, and why you should, too. So before we dive in, smash that like button if you want to stay ahead of the curve, and hit subscribe because I'll be dropping more government intel and survival strategies that could literally save your life. 1. White rice, FEMA's silent obsession. Now, let's kick it off with something you've seen in every survival kit, white rice. But here's the thing, this isn't just tradition. According to an internal FEMA memo I found referenced in procurement logs, white rice is officially classified as critical infrastructure food. That's not nice to have. That's essential if everything goes dark. One FEMA coordinator even admitted, we're planning for months, not days. Why rice? Simple. It's cheap, calorie-dense, and lasts for decades if stored right. Archaeologists have found 8,000-year-old rice in China that was still intact enough to study. Think about that. Pro tip from a contractor who actually works with FEMA: store rice in 5-gallon buckets with gamma seal lids. Toss in a couple of bay leaves, and you'll repel bugs naturally. Done right, your rice lasts for decades. Cost breakdown? For about $30, you can secure 500 servings, 6 cents a meal. That's why it's FEMA's silent obsession. 2. Canned meat, the Pentagon's lifeline protein. You probably think of canned chicken or tuna as last resort food. Wrong. The Department of Defense buys millions of cans every year. Why? Because when the grid fails, refrigeration is gone. And protein becomes priceless. I'll never forget my buddy Dave in Texas during that brutal winter storm. His fridge died on day 1. His freezer thawed by day 3. But he survived 8 days on canned chicken and tuna, eaten cold, straight from the can. Not glamorous, but it kept him alive. CDC guidelines confirm this. Canned poultry and fish are priority emergency proteins. And here's the kicker, always buy the ones packed in water, not oil. They're safer, lighter, and last longer once opened. 2 weeks of protein security for a family? About $60. That's a small price for peace of mind. 3. Dried beans, the 30-year survival staple. You've heard the jokes about beans being poor man's food. But here's the truth, dried beans are one of the most powerful prepper tools you can own. Stored properly, they last 25 to 30 years. And gram for gram, they rival eggs for protein at a fraction of the cost. I spoke with a disaster relief coordinator who worked after floods in Gujarat. Families with bulk bags of beans weren't begging, they were feeding their neighbors. Government preppers know this too. That's why manuals emphasize dried over canned beans. And yes, throw a couple of bay leaves into your storage to keep pests out. For about $25, you can secure 20 to 25 pounds, enough to feed one person protein for an entire month. 4. Peanut butter, NASA's emergency food. Here's a surprise, NASA stocks peanut butter for space missions and recommends it for Earth emergencies. Why? Because it's portable, calorie-dense, and kids actually like it. 1 tablespoon has 8 g of protein and 100 calories. And you can eat it straight from the jar, no prep is required. Here's a storage hack, flip jars upside down every few months to prevent oil separation. And yes, you can freeze peanut butter to extend its shelf life up to 2 years. At $4 a jar, it's one of the cheapest comfort foods with real survival value. 5. Canned vegetables, the vitamin insurance. Most people forget this, but scurvy isn't just a pirate problem. Vitamin deficiencies hit fast in emergencies. That's why FEMA's official lists emphasize canned vegetables. They keep about 85% of their nutrition and can prevent fatigue, weakness, and even immune collapse when fresh produce disappears. Pro tip: always stock low-sodium varieties. High sodium makes you thirstier, a real danger if water is scarce. A 2-week supply per person runs about $35. Cheap insurance for your health. 6. Whole grain cereal, the energy foundation. Here's one you won't see in most prepper lists: fortified cereal. During wildfire evacuations in California, Red Cross shelters noticed families with cereal had more energy and better moods. For kids, familiar breakfast routines kept them calm during chaos. Why cereal? Because fortified whole grains are packed with B vitamins and iron. And you can eat them dry, no milk required. Storage hack: transfer cereal from boxes to airtight containers immediately. Boxes invite pests and moisture. Pro tip: buy cereals with at least 6 grams of fiber and 25% iron. Skip the sugary cartoon boxes. About $20 per person covers 2 weeks of energy food. 7. Canned fruit, the morale booster. This one shocked me. FEMA's Psychological Support Division literally recommends canned fruit for mental health. Why? Because sweet, familiar flavors reduce stress and improve morale during disasters. Families with canned peaches and pears in shelters reported better moods and less conflict. Science backs it up: vitamin C deficiency hits in just 30 days. That's why the CDC specifically lists canned fruit as a must-have. Always choose fruit canned in juice, not syrup. Syrup spikes blood sugar and increases thirst. About $25 secures 14 cans, 2 weeks of sweetness and vitamin C. 8. Crackers, the underrated platform food. This one blew my mind. At a recent emergency drill, I watched families transform sad canned tuna into actual meals with crackers. FEMA calls them edible platforms. Crackers turn survival rations into real food. Peanut butter and crackers. Tuna and crackers. Even crumbled into soup for texture. But here's the pro tip: transfer them to airtight containers with silica packets. Otherwise, humidity ruins them fast. Government facilities stock varieties: saltines for general use, water crackers for sensitive stomachs, and graham crackers for morale. At $3 a box, they're literally pennies per meal. Stock 6 boxes per person for 2 weeks. 9. Honey, nature's immortal food. Last but not least, honey. Archaeologists found jars in Egyptian tombs, 3,000 years old, still edible. Why? Because honey's low water content, acidity, and natural enzymes make it antibacterial, antifungal, and practically immortal. Here's where it gets wild: honey isn't just food. It's medicine. Studies show raw honey fights antibiotic-resistant infections, soothes coughs, and heals wounds. NASA is even researching it for space missions. Storage tip: always buy raw, unprocessed honey in glass jars. If it crystallizes, just warm it gently, it's still perfect. 1 pound per person, $8.12, covers 2 weeks of energy, medicine, and morale. The bottom line. Look, I didn't compile this list to scare you. I'm sharing what the government already knows: emergencies are coming faster and harder than most families are ready for. These 9 foods aren't random, they're the result of decades of disaster research. Together, they provide complete nutrition, a long shelf life, and require minimal storage. Start small. Pick 2 or 3 items and build from there. But don't wait. Every month you delay is another month your family stays vulnerable. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button and subscribe for more survival intel. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these foods are you stocking up on first? Drop it in the comments. I personally started with rice and honey because they last forever. Stay smart, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next video.